Good afternoon, basketball fans. On behalf of the Illinois High School Association and the City of Peoria, welcome to the site of America's original March Madness. This championship game for 3A boys in 2008 features the defending champion Chicago Simeon Wolverines, a record of 29-3, and the Chicago Marshall Commanders, a record of 30-4. Now to Honor America. Please stand, remove your caps, and pause for a moment of silence to remember the men and women in the armed forces serving us here and around the world, away from their families, protecting our freedom. Thank you as we thank them. Now please address the flag with your hand over your heart. Our soloist, Isaac Funk, a senior at Dunlap High School, sings the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And now let's meet the starting lineups for this first ever 3A championship game. At a guard for Chicago Simeon, a 6-foot senior, 10, Keon Smith. At a guard for Chicago Marshall, a 5'9 senior, 3, Ardarius Simmons. The other guard for the Wolverines, a 6-foot senior, 22, Joshua Anderson. The other guard for the Commandos, a 6'4 senior, 24, Ryan Hare. At center for Simeon, a 6'9 senior, 32, Stanley Simpson. At center for Marshall, a 6'8 senior, 41, Dorian Tyler. And a forward for the Wolverines, a 6'3 junior, 25, Brandon Orange. And a forward for the Commandos, a 6'6 junior, 25, Eric Harris. The other forward for Chicago Simeon, a 6'3 senior, 34, Pierre Sneed. The other forward for Chicago Marshall, a 6'2 junior, 21, Darius Smith. Coaching in his 4th season for the Wolverines, a record of 124-14, Robert Smith. Coaching in his 1st year for the Commandos, a record of 30-4, Courtney Hargraves. As the players and coaches wish each other good luck at half court, the IHSA, its board of directors, and member schools expect to promote good sportsmanship by athletes, coaches, students, parents, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and the officials in a positive manner. Do what's right. No other state in America can claim the rich history and tradition that's been generated by March Madness in Illinois. It's America's original March Madness. Please direct your attention to the arena floor and meet the officials for this game. The referee, from Fairview Heights, Scott Posey. From Belleville, Terry Gallagher. And from Wadsworth, Mike Geske. Presenting the game ball for this championship game will be Kurt Grant. Country Financial Agent, one of the sponsors of the March Madness Experience. We thank Country Financial for their contribution to the greatest high school single event in the land.
Let's take a look again at those starting lineups. Again, we thank the folks at Walgreens, a proud sponsor of these IHSA telecasts and the IHSA Do What's Right sportsmanship program. Smith, Anderson, Orange, Sneed, Stan Simpson for Simeon. Marshall counters with Simmons, Smith, Ryan Hare, Harris, and Dorian Tyler. Lightning quick. We're going to see it up and down the floor, won't we, Coach, today?
Well, if Marshall has their way, it'll be up-tempo. I think Simeon is going to want to slow it down a little bit. They pick their spots a little bit different. Marshall likes up-tempo more often, but Simeon is going to run the ball, but they're going to try to pick their spots.
The Marshall Commandos in their home white jerseys. They're considered the home team here. Simeon in the dark blue, and we're just underway, and we have a quick basket already from Darius Smith. And so the Commandos jump out in front 2-0. These two teams met the last 2 years here at the state tournament in the semifinals. Both times Simeon eliminating Marshall or knocking them down into the third place game on their way to state championships. And this year they meet for the state title. There's that Simeon history, their 9th appearance, state championships in '84, and then the last 2 years, '06 and '07 for Robert Smith, who has compiled a 4-year record of 125-13.
Not bad. Marshall's coming out, just changing looks a little bit. Look like they started in the zone, now they're in a man-to-man. Some great matchups.
Ball is out of bounds, and it's going to Marshall, so a turnover for the Simeon Wolverines. There's that Chicago Marshall history. 17 appearances, a couple of 4th place finishes, 4 3rd place finishes. And then in the middle part of the last century, the 50-year anniversary of the 1958 team led by a sophomore named George Wilson, and then a 1960 squad when he was a senior. Spin Solario, the head coach of those two teams. Tip in, active again, Eric Harrison. We talked about him at the top of the broadcast. What a key player he'll be.
You know, he's good enough to go inside and out. We see Simeon started in a little 2-3 zone. We have Marshall extending the court a little bit in a half-court 2-3.
We've got a foul here on Darius Smith. We see the season team comparisons. They like to score. Simeon at 75.5 points a game. Marshall right at about 70. And so we're expecting to see a lot of offense here this afternoon. But sometimes you say that, and you get two teams on a college floor with a big shooting background, and you know, a state tournament game, and the pace and the scoring is different.
Exactly. Well, they have their super sub. Simeon has their super sub in, Lazarick Jones.
And he was big yesterday. Acrobatic shot off the glass by Lazarick Jones. So just like that in the game and in the scorebook. Now quickly back up the floor. Missed shot that time by Harris, and it's cleared by Simpson.
Well, that shows you what Marshall's going to try to do. They are just going to get that ball up as quickly as they can.
Yeah, time of possession. If this was like a football game, they've held it for about 3 seconds on each of their looks. They just get it and go. We played just about 2 minutes of this Class 3A boys basketball state championship game with Marshall leading Simeon 4-2. Kurt Pegler, Bill Hitt with you here on the IHSA Television Network. There's a nice runner again by Jones.
Well, you know, he's got that great step, but there's got to be help side defense. They've got to close the lane down. You can't let a kid get to the glass twice in a row like that.
He was so big yesterday, 14 points off the bench against Champaign Central. And, you know, the Simeon coaching staff has said there's not too many teams in the state that have a guy comes off the bench that is just like that can guard him. He just changes the tempo of the game when he enters. Now we've got a whistle and a foul against the Wolverines.
All right, so Simeon is really packing in that zone a little bit more than I thought. Just trying to bring, see if they can shoot from the outside, Marshall.
These two teams did meet in early January in the Chicago Public League Holiday Tournament. That game won by Simeon. And again, we mentioned that the last 2 years here at state, they've had the upper hand as well. So Marshall has a little bit of motivation as far as the revenge factor is concerned.
Right. Getting back to my thought, we know Marshall can get to the glass. So I think Simeon is trying to see if they're a perimeter threat. If not, they should be able to own the boards a little bit more, be in better rebounding position, and they're very good in their zone.
Dorian Tyler makes the free throws, and Marshall the lead, and now a backcourt turnover.
Marshall came out after that made free throw, went to a full court zone press, got the ball in the corner where they wanted it, were able to trap it, a lane violation, turned the ball over.
Our Darius Simmons running the show from the top, just a lightning quick point guard. That's him with the basketball, stutter step for a minute, and over to Darius Smith. Both these teams with terrific perimeter players. Pump fake on the three, and Ryan Hare traveled.
That's hard sometimes. You catch the ball in rhythm, and if you hesitate for a second, a lot of time you'll drag that back foot. You know, for Marshall, Dorian Tyler has got a tough job. You know, he's got Simpson that he's got to worry about.
Jones again all the way down. Missed the shot. Offensive rebound, Keon Smith. Yeah, Dorian Tyler has the matchup of the game. He's got a matchup with Simpson. And now we've got a foul way away from the basket. And if that was on a three-point shot, we're going to get 3 free throws coming. And that's indeed the case.
You know, that's Eric Harris, just closed out a little bit strong on that. You know, in a game like this, these kids know each other. And they know of each other. They know each other. You're almost playing to control yourself as opposed to playing your opponent. They're balanced, they're deep, they have multiple weapons. It really is going to be a question of making fewer mistakes than your opponent.
Brandon Orange to have one more free throw coming his way. Strong, explosive, athletic player for Simeon. Chance to tie the game up with the foul shot. He was a solid effort, 5 points and 9 rebounds, kind of an unsung player yesterday against Champaign Central. But that's such an interesting perspective of the game, Bill, when you talk about these players are so familiar with each other, playing for the state championship after playing in the, in the battlegrounds in Chicago. Hare had a shot blocked, and we've got some free throws coming. So you've got teams again familiar with each other's personnel. Some of these guys see one another in the AAU circuit. I mean, this is just familiarity against familiarity.
You know, nice entry pass by Darius Smith there. Hare with an up fake, and Simpson was having none of that. Looked like he got grabbed from the backside. And they've played against each other. And I'm just surmising. I don't know that for a fact, but I know how it works. They've played on AAU teams in 7th grade and 8th grade. They've played all the way on up.
Yeah. It was interesting when we talked on Thursday with Courtney Hargraves, the Marshall head coach. He said, we've been down to state a couple of years, but we hadn't won the city championship since 1991, and it was such a big bullseye and such a big accomplishment to win the Chicago Public League championship, their first since 91 this year, that, that was like this huge burden, this huge lift with those great teams in the Public League to say, hey, we've measured ourselves against the state. We want to measure ourselves against our own neighborhood teams and win that.
Right, and I think before it might have been a little bit more of a priority. Right now, state is important to them.
6-5, Marshall, the early lead. Back with more from Peoria after this network break.
Teams have ever met in a state championship game before. Over the last 100 years, the answer is yes. In 1990, 2 teams actually from Chicago have met. The 2 teams were Chicago King with Coach Sonny Cox and Chicago Gordon Tech, who met, and they were defeated by, defeated by Chicago King 65-55. And in the last 101 tournaments, this is only the second time in the boys' side that this is actually us having 2 Chicago teams meet for a state title. Back to you.
Thanks, Ashley. 3-point make for Darius Smith, and now Marshall's lead is now 9-5. Quickly down the floor is Smith. Well, it used to be that in the old setup, the Chicago Public League champ got that bid to the state quarterfinals, but once they gave that up, it opened the door then for 2 Chicago Public League teams now to make it to state. That couldn't have happened in the old brackets.
Exactly.
And another three, this time from the other side of the floor for Darius Smith. So he knocks down a couple of triples from opposite sides of the floor. He's given his team a 12-5 advantage. Now it's Simpson inside. And now he's going to get to the free throw line. It's hard to believe that we've played better than 4 minutes, and that's really his first touch of the game.
Right. And that's crucial, and it's kind of ironic that it came on a transition instead of on a set offense. Marshall's doing a great job of changing their looks defensively, but you know, when you press, especially when you zone press like they were doing on these last 2 possessions, a team like Simeon is going to attack, and that's, you know it's coming. They just have to convert those transition baskets.
You saw that last graphic that we had on the screen about the streaking Simeon Wolverines. They had a 22-game winning streak snapped by Farragut in the Chicago Public League playoffs, and Robert Smith actually said that was a good thing. It woke his team up. Working the baseline and missing the shot is Eric Harris. So that was a situation of a loss becoming a positive thing and kind of reprioritized Simeon's motives here. And another foul that time. They go back inside to Simpson, and he again is hacked.
You know, they're going to attack. I've been impressed so far with Dorian Tyler doing a nice job moving his feet, trying to take some of the space away from Simpson. It'll be interesting to see how they defend him. Tyler does not play a ton of minutes. They're going to their bench now. It'll be interesting to see what they do when he comes out of the game.
Tavares Davis checking in the game, as is Jaron Lee, and both of these guys played big minutes off the bench and were significant contributors to the Marshall victory yesterday in the state semifinal.
I thought Jaron Lee in particular did a great job defending Ducky Stewart yesterday.
Now we're at the 3-minute mark left here. Opening quarter of this Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game, the first ever between 2 Chicago Public League schools. Marshall 12, Simeon 9. This is Darius Smith. Commando showing great patience. Our Darius Simmons got himself into trouble, and it's going to be a jump ball, and this time the possession arrow is going to go for the Wolverines.
Looked like he was trying to split the defender so he could kick it to the wing to Darius Smith.
Keon Smith. Now they get it up. That's quickly Lazarick Jones all the way down. It's going to be a Simpsons flush.
You can live and die by an odd front zone press.
Now Simmons penetrates and he draws contact. Again, the explosiveness of Lazarick Jones. We saw him twice take the ball down the paint and score. That time he was distributing it. As we approach the 2-minute mark left here in this opening quarter. It's a 1-point Marshall lead.
Simeon staying in that zone, does a couple of things. It makes them hit the shots from the perimeter, and it keeps Simpson in the middle.
And right now, Marshall calls timeout. At the 2:04 mark here, first quarter. Well, again, when we talk about these two teams that are so familiar with each other's styles and, you know, their pace of play, this is, and we kind of made light of it at the beginning, much like a heavyweight fight. These are the opening rounds of a heavyweight fight with these two teams trying to feel each other out.
Absolutely.
Send a video of your best slam dunk to foxhighlightschicago.com. Top 5 dunks will get to show off their dunks at a Bulls game and get to watch their dunks from a suite. These games are being streamed at foxhighlightschicago.com. Marshall High School fan section there. Simeon brought their fans as well. Good representation here. We had a terrific third place game. We really thought coming into the Final Four with Champaign Central, Washington, Simeon, and Marshall, we would have 4 great basketball games, and so far we've had 3 very good basketball games and the start of a very good one here.
They were all evenly matched. Every time we talked to the coaches on Thursday, that's what they said. You know, Robert Smith said everybody's waiting for a Marshall Simeon game, and they might get it. It might be in the third place game, and it didn't turn out that way. But this has really been a very, very exceptional 3A tournament.
Well, of the 4 semifinalists that got here, we were talking about 4 of the top 7 teams in the final Associated Press high school basketball poll in Class 3A. You had number 2, number 3, number 4, number 7. And this game pits number 2 against number 3 with Marshall 2 and Simeon 3. And there's Ryan Hare scoring in traffic.
A great dish from DeVaris Davis on that. He just brought everybody to him and managed to get the ball around them.
There's that Marshall pressure in the backcourt, and the ball is free. And there's going to be a foul before the turnover. It's going to go against Marshall.
A little bit of a bailout foul right there. I'm playing aggressive. Didn't need to do that.
That's on Davis, his first. But already Marshall has 5 team fouls here with 1:40 to go in this first quarter.
They're aggressive defensively. Again, some of that's just emotion. I think that was an emotional foul. Keep your hands to yourself. Use your feet. All right, now they're out of that little full court zone press, and they're trapping a little bit half court.
Smith being guarded by Montrese McKnight, who's checked in now for Marshall. Joshua Anderson going inside, and Simpson, who was very quiet in the first half of this quarter, has now really established a presence on the inside.
What they're doing differently is they're bringing him up the lane a little bit. Instead of being on the block, he's up a little bit. They're entering the ball from the top of the circle rather than the wing. He's got different looks.
Simpson now with 8 of his team's 13. Here's Hare down the lane, a lot of contact, ball's out of bounds. But Marshall's going to maintain possession.
Ryan Hare just goes strong, a little bit out of control. Probably could have been an offensive foul on that, and just lost the ball going up. Actually, could have been a reach in before the offensive foul.
Simpson has scored his team's last 8 points, so we said it took him a while to get his hands on the ball, but once he has, now he's really cashed in.
Well, again, Dorian Tyler out of the lineup, that has an effect.
Now in the corner, it's Jaron Lee, who's missed the shot, but there's going to be a loose ball. No, there's going to be, I thought it was going to be a foul, but it's going to be a traveling violation against Ryan Hare.
Ryan Hare's pleading his case. Actually, it was a pretty good call. He came down on somebody. There was no contact on that person's fault. Came down, lost his balance, and traveled.
Anderson penetrates and kicks. Half a minute to go here in this opening quarter. Smith, 3 from the top, missed it. Lee tried to get the outlet pass. It was intended for McKnight, but it was blocked out of bounds. And so now the Commandos have an opportunity for the final shot of the quarter. Here's Hare, penetrates, he's gonna take it himself, off the glass, rolls off, tipped around, Lee is there, he can't get it to go down, and it's cleared by Simeon. Now the final seconds of the quarter. Smith quickly up the floor. Good snap pass inside to Simpson, and the ball knocked out of his hands with 1.9 seconds remaining.
You have to pay attention in this game because that ball is going up and down the court about as quickly as it can. What a great catch Simpson made on that. The ball was behind him, one-handed, it almost was able to complete.
Pierce need to trigger. The lob goes into Simpson, catch and shoots, and that's the end of the quarter. Marshall 14, Simeon 13. 1 quarter in the books in the Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game. Back with more after these messages and a word from your local stations.
And we are back, 14-13, Marshall leading Simeon, and I've got my game day hat on. How you like my game day hat? Okay, they're not paying attention to me. We're with Dorothy Gators, the all-time winningest girls coach in the state. Courtney Hargraves was kind of your intern, wasn't he?
Well, we considered him as a co-coach. He has a great basketball mind, and you're going to continue to hear a lot of things from him.
Right, of course, I was kidding. He served as an assistant on your girls championship team that won the championship a couple weeks ago, your 8th. How would you critique him after 8 minutes?
Oh, well, you know, he doesn't have any rebounds or missed shots, so it's on the kids, and I think that they're going to come through.
Are you tempted to run down there and give him some advice?
No, I wouldn't dare do that.
Dorothy, always a pleasure. Congratulations on your state championship. Good luck here today.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
Better than 800 career wins and 8 state championships in 33 years, the legendary Dorothy Gators. And right now, we're talking about Courtney Hargraves, the Commandos head coach, says she's like a mother to me. He's been on her assistant's staff for 5 years, and he just is like a sponge around her. He just tries to get as much info as he can from that woman.
After our state championship Proviso East in '91, we went down and shared a bus with Dorothy and her girls to be recognized by the state legislature. So I got to ride 3 hours there and 3 hours back, and it was a very, very interesting conversation both ways.
Joshua Anderson knocks down a 3, and the Wolverines have the lead now at 16-14. It was just an interesting situation that Courtney Hargraves would stay on as an assistant coach with the Marshall girls team on game days while he was coaching the boys team. He said he just didn't want to leave those seniors high and dry, those girls that he'd been coaching for 5 years. We bring you our first quarter stats brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
I think those stats indicate just how close the game is. Everything is rebounds about the same. Those 2 3-point baskets, I think, gave Marshall a little early energy.
Now a baseline jump shot from Harris is no good. Offensive rebound, Davis. And the Commandos crashing the glass there.
They do that so well. They're just relentless. You got to get a body on them.
Now we've got a kicking ball there, so it'll stay with Simeon. It's a 16-all game. You talked about Dorothy Gators having better than 800 wins. We have Dick Van Syak in the building, the boys' all-time winningest coach at 826 wins. Steve Gores was sitting across the way, the Rockford Boylan coach who got his 800th career win. You got a lot of victories in the building here watching these games this weekend.
And I think Gene Pingator, we had a sighting, so Lazarick Jones is just having a great tournament. So that's 3,300 wins in 4 people. That's just imagine that.
Lazarick Jones, that 3 from the outside, or his jumper from the outside was a 2, 18-16 in favor of Simeon, and he's been doing it all over the floor, penetrating and from the outside, and now a steal. Errant pass is picked off by Eric Harris, now back from the Commandos. This is McKnight, and he gives the ball up to Davis. A couple of those players off the bench. His 3 banked it in.
All right. That's, the coach says, don't shoot, good shot.
Davis showing his range, and now it's Simpson on the other end, and he's nearly tackled. It's going to be a foul against Marshall.
I think Simpson did a great job of gathering himself there. Ball gets pushed up ahead, just freezes the defender, draws the foul.
So Eric Harris is the guilty party. That's his second. And 2 shots now coming for the University of Illinois recruit, Stanley Simpson.
I think he's going to be a fine player in college. He's got nice hands. Again, we talked yesterday. He's only played basketball 4 years.
That's hard to believe.
It really is. Someone has spent a lot of time working on his feet. He's got great feet for a big man, uses his body well, and a very nice soft touch around the basket.
And the Wolverine coaching staff praises the way that he can score and use both hands. And we're even at 19. 5.5 minutes to go here in this Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship first half. Here's Ryan Hare down the lane, penetrating. Couldn't get the shot. Now it's Davis, offensive rebound. That won't go either. It's cleared out of there by Simpson.
They've taken the ball at him with not much success. I'm wondering if we're going to see a plan B.
Jones penetrates, ball's out of bounds, and Simeon will maintain possession.
Ryan Hare's a really good inside player, but Simpson 6'9", it changes your shot.
And he has been such a horse all year long, using that long body to his advantage. Joshua Anderson tried the three again, can't get it, but guess who's there? It's Stanley Simpson to get the offensive board and stick it back in.
You know, and Marshall had good inside position. They didn't move him back enough. He was able to go up over them.
Simpson, the first player in double figures, now give him 11 points. Here's Hare. He's going to try and counter. He can't get it to go down. Offensive rebound again. That won't go. Ball is on the floor. It's Deion Stamps who is on the floor with it. And we've got a foul. Looks like it's going to be against Simpson.
Just a lot of contact underneath the basket. You see him go up strong. Ball comes back down. Stamps stays with it. Just gets the bump from Simpson.
We've got a timeout on the floor. 4:42 to go here in this second quarter with Simeon leading Marshall in the Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game. Back with more after these local messages. We've talked about the great games that we've seen. We've had great players in this Class 3A Boys Basketball Tournament. This is the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association first team All-State for the 3A and 4A teams that are here in Peoria. Ryan Hare of Marshall, Matt Roth of Washington, Stan Simpson of Simeon, Verdell Jones of Champaign Central, all leading their teams to the Class 3A state. And Carl Richard, the senior from Oak Lawn Richards, helping his team to the 4A Final Four. So great representation, and frequently that's the case. Great players, they get on a roll, will lead their teams to state, and that's what we've seen here, certainly in the 3A portion of this tournament.
How would you like to coach all of them?
Wow.
You know, I'd settle for one or two, but all of them.
That'd be quite a team. From the outside, it's our Darius Simmons. The miss, but the offensive rebound and tip in.
Deion Stamps, a big tip in, but that was great ball movement. Marshall moved the ball, created that.
Simmons with that miss, but it was Stamps again with that wide body working his way in. And then on the other end, it's going to be Ryan Hare taking a charge, it looks like.
Yeah. Lazarick Jones sometimes has one speed. It's called faster.
Here's that Deion Stamps again. He's got a great knack around the basket, and he's been called the bruiser and the hard worker by his coaching staff, and we're seeing why.
Well, he's going down there at 5'10" and challenged Simpson at 6'9".
Yeah. We're even at 21 here. Tavares Davis the miss, and another tip in. That one time it was Darius Smith. So good work by Marshall on the offensive glass. Simeon quickly down the floor, and another offensive foul. This time it's going to be on Stephen Walker.
You know, just every once in a while, you start playing faster than you should. That's an example. He just got pretty anxious, got his feet set, didn't look. Got to look before you move. Ryan Hare's struggling a little bit offensively. That's two great charges he's taken on back-to-back Simeon possessions.
Well, Courtney Hargraves will tell you he's become a complete player this year. He does everything from scoring to taking charges. Those were his exact words on Thursday at the shoot-around. And now we've got a travel violation against Simeon and a player down.
You know, same thing that happened to Hare earlier in the game. Looks like it happened to Keon Smith right there. Came down on a foot, came down on somebody, and traveled. Yeah.
May have been Darius Smith that he came down on top of, but he's picked himself up off the floor, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, just came down awkwardly and traveled.
And now they're all set, and so Ryan Hare will trigger for the Commandos, who have the basketball and a 23-21 advantage in this Class 3A state championship game, but Davis is whistled for the traveling violation.
You know, Tavares Davis, last couple times, I think he's looking shot a little bit more than he should. Get that ball, got his feet going before he needed to.
Smart play by Keon Smith. He was in trouble, so he called for a timeout before he turned the basketball over at the 3:43 mark.
You know, Marshall, again, is doing a very good job, I think, of changing defenses. On that situation, they went to their full court press. And what you want is to bring the ball into the corner right in front of where it's being inbounded, because you have two defenders there. Simeon didn't recognize that, brought the ball there, the trap sprung. Probably wisely took the timeout instead of the turnover.
the Simeon Wolverines trying for the three-peat. Very difficult to do. The last team to win 3 in a row. If you go back to the middle 90s when the Peoria Manual Rams won 4 consecutive state championships, which has never been done in the state of Illinois, but Simeon trying to get 3 in a row, and there's another local tie to that scenario. The second of those 4 championships, consecutive titles won by Manual, was won by Wayne McLean, who was a rookie head coach at that point, and Marshall's Courtney Hargraves is trying to become the first-year coach to win a state championship since Coach McLean did that back in the 1995 season. And now Wayne McLean is on the coaching staff of Bruce Weber and the Fighting Illini, who are still alive in the Big Ten tournament. They're on their own little March Madness run here.
You know, your memories my memory often kind of fades a little bit. Now it seems like he made it easy, but I remember it wasn't very easy. He had some really battles with Thornton.
Oh.
They were great high school games.
Rocky Hills teams, those were wonderful state tournaments. And again, that Commandos backcourt. Now we've got a reach-in foul that's going to be whistled against Tavares Davis.
You know, again, that's just the energy and the emotion of the moment.
Now we're seeing Irvin Thomas come in the ball game for the Commandos. That's him wearing number 5. Also, he's a baseball player in the springtime for Marshall. 7th foul now against the Commandos, and so 1-and-1 time now for Simeon. And to the free throw line is the Illinois State recruit, Keon Smith. He had a 10-point and 4 steal effort against Champaign Central in the big semifinal win yesterday. And it was his 3-point shot that sparked a 12-0 run. The Wolverines were just about on the side of the road with a couple of flat tires, and they sprung back to life there in the 4th quarter. And his 3-point shot helped get that run going that put the Wolverines in their 3rd straight championship game. Otherwise, we'd be talking about Champaign Central playing here.
That's right. What they do so well, they may only press for 4 minutes a game, but when they press for 4 minutes, it's lethal. And that's what Champaign saw yesterday.
Foul shots are good, and we're even at 23. Ryan Hare, pump fake down the lane, and he's got a 3-point opportunity now. And we might have a technical foul, and we're going to get a tee as the ball was slammed to the floor. Here's another look at Ryan Hare's.
Just hesitated for a second, Kurt, and then go strong to the basket.
And the foul is going to be on Pierre Sneed. And then there was a technical foul whistled against Simeon when the ball was kind of slammed and discussed after that foul was made. So we're going to see some free throws here. We still have that 3-point free throw for Ryan Hare to make. And that's not a very smart foul, and of course that'll count against you as far as your foul count is concerned as well.
Right. It puts Simeon now in the double bonus. You know, you preach as a coach. You've got to be level, you've got to be even. Doesn't mean that you don't get excited when you do something good, but you have to be able to maintain your emotion. You know, I don't think that was done meanly, maliciously. I think it was a frustration.
Hare did most of his damage yesterday against Washington from the foul line. He had 10 points against the Panthers, 7 out of 9 shooting from the free throw line. We've got another look at that technical, which was just after the basket was made. You see the ball gets slammed down by Stephen Walker, and I agree with you there, Bill. It looked like he was more disgusted at the foul, not the call.
No.
Just the foul and the process and the outcome of the play.
You know, and I think it surprised him how high that ball went.
Yeah.
I really do.
So now Marshall with a 4-point lead and the basketball after the technical. Smith. Now it's Simmons. He penetrates, hangs and fires. His shot is missed. The ball is still alive and tipped around. And it's Hare who gets it back and shoots it off the glass and in.
What a great job of freezing the defender. He just froze him and then went up. Back to that full court zone press.
Credit the offensive glass work there. And now an offensive foul again, and guess who takes his 3rd charge? Ryan Hare. So the foul is going to be against Robert Robinson, and there's Ryan Hare, and he just plants himself, and he's taken 3 charges here in the first half.
you know, that first quarter, he was really struggling getting a good look at the basket with Simpson in the middle. Since then, he's elevated his game defensively, and I think he's got that confidence going to the basket.
Now those are plays that won't show up in the box score. Now that will. A terrific basket by Darius Simmons, and suddenly Marshall has run out to an 8-point advantage. Near steal at the timeline. This is reminiscent of what Simeon did to Champaign Central in the fourth quarter yesterday, where they came up with turnover after turnover and really made the Maroons pay.
Right.
Anderson, his three, front of the rim, no good. Brandon Orange had it momentarily knocked out of his hands and out of bounds, but the Wolverines will maintain possession.
You know, Robert Smith right now is looking at the clock. He already used one of his timeouts. He doesn't want Marshall to get up by too much more, but he doesn't want to use that timeout if he doesn't have to.
Nice entry pass and a basket there.
That's a big basket.
Yeah,
that is a big basket for Simeon.
Really needed something, and they break this little run that the Commandos are on. Commandos going to spread the floor a little bit. Harris driving. How about that move by Darius Smith? Little floater, and he got the shooter's touch.
They are so quick recovering on defense.
Smith now in double figures with 12 points. Called the best junior in the state by his head coach. In fact,
he's playing like it right now, Kurt.
Coach Hargrave said, I fully expect him to be an All-American next year as a senior, not just an All-Stater. Now this was a technique employed by the Commandos yesterday in the second quarter of their semifinal game that kind of backfired against Washington, as it took the Commandos out of their rhythm when they brought the ball back out here late in the second quarter.
You know, it's always interesting. You know, people will look and have all the answers, but when you're sitting down there making decisions, you know, I think Robert Smith is not real happy with how his team has played. I think he's saying, you know what, if we go in down by 8, I can regroup them. We certainly have the ability to come back. Marshall, on the other hand, they're up by 8 points. They're going to get the last shot. They're thinking, you know, maybe we'll go up 10 or 11.
Our Darius Simmons content to just hang on to the basketball as we approach 30 seconds left to go. And now the Wolverines are going to come out and guard, it looks like.
Right, they're changed to a 1-3-1. They're going to look to trap somewhere.
Jeremy Jones is the point man at the top there. He's guarding Simmons. 15 left now. 10 to shoot. 7 to shoot. Here's Hare. His pass is picked off by Keon Smith. Gets the ball up the floor quickly, but Hare goes back and plays defense and prevents a basket. And his Marshall Commandos will head to the locker room at the half, ahead by 8, 33-25. Our sideline reporter Ashley Robinson is standing by with Marshall Commandos head coach Courtney Hargraves.
Thanks, Kurt. Coach, you're penetrating the zone and getting down low easily with Simpson out down low. What made you decide to stall to try and get him out into the man-to-man?
That's our offense. Our best offense is our guards. You know, you can see since we've been down there, nobody want to play us man-to-man. So that's our strength. That's what we're trying to get done.
So what are you going to do when Simpson comes back in the second half? Because it seemed like it was harder to score down low with him standing in the paint.
We was getting in there. We're just going to keep going, hoping we can make some of them layups.
All right, Coach. Good luck. Back to you, Kurt.
He's pushed all the right buttons, and his Marshall Commandos have a 33-25 advantage at halftime of the Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game. Back with more after you hear from our network sponsors.
This IHSA broadcast.
Oaklawn Richards, Division 3. James Boyd, Port Byron Riverdale, Division 4. Ron Connor, Clinton, Division 5, and also the board vice president. Paul Whittington, East Peoria, representing Division 6. Jim Quaid, Oak Park Fenwick, an at-large member and the board secretary. And Greg Bradley from Mount Zion, the board treasurer. Presenting the medallions for fourth place will be Susie Knobloch, assistant executive director of the IHSA, and a resident of Washington, Illinois. She'll be assisted by Paul Whittington. The fourth place trophy presented by Dr. Jim Quaid. At this time, please meet the Panthers of Washington who finished the 2008 season in fourth place, a record of 26-5. Let's meet the superintendent and principal, Dr. James Dunnan. Athletic Director, Craig Anderson. Trainer, Mike Geringer. Head coach, Kevin Brown. Assistant coach, Eric Schermerhorn. Assistant coach, Zach Martin. Assistant coach, Josh Green. And assistant coach, Dan Garski. Now the Panthers players for Robert Barton. Ten, Robert Isagiri. 12, Josh Broadstone. 14, Mark Roth. 20, Ben Warner. 21, Brian Teig. 23, Drew Blumenschein. 25, Corey Sharp. 30, Matt Roth. 32, Dyricus Sims Edwards. 34, Jacob Weston. 40, Matt McClellan. 42, Brett Holmes. 50, Michael Arnett. And 54, Colton Underwood. Presenting the third place medallions will be Greg Bradley, assisted by Jim Boyd. The trophy presenter for third place will be Ron Connor. This time, meet the Maroons of Champaign Central, third place, 2008, a record of 25-8. Our superintendent, Arthur Culver. Principal, William Freeman. Head coach, Scott Davis. Assistant coach, John Woods. Assistant coach, LaConte Nix. Assistant coach, Floyd Fisher. Now the Maroons players, number 10, Jake Sosinski. 14, Xander Culver. 22, Patrick Wampler. 24, Donald Stewart. 30, Aaron Montgomery. 32, Isaiah Classberry. 34, Verdell Jones. 40, Ryan Gray. 44, Carter Billingsley. 50, Keith Biggers. 54, Chris Lehman. Manager, John Lasaris. Manager, Edward McGee. And manager, Peyton Woods. And now will Coach Brown and the captains of Washington step forth and receive the fourth place trophy, Class 3A 2008. Congratulations, the 26-5 Washington Panthers. Now will Coach Davis and the captains of Champaign Central step forward, receive the third place trophy. The Maroons 25-8, third place, 2008, Class 3A boys. Congratulations to both schools, families, friends, and spectators. Great job this weekend.
And our congratulations to Champaign Central and Washington for bringing home the hardware this weekend from America's original March Madness. Our congratulations again to them. Welcome back to our Chevy Performance Studio, brought to you by your Chicago and Indiana.
Rebounding.
We got to do a better job of blocking out, and hopefully the referee will call some of these over the backs that's going on. But we guys got to do a better job of rebounding the basketball. Both ends of the floor.
8 turnovers in the first half and 11 points for Marshall scoring off of those turnovers. Did you talk to him about taking care of the ball at all?
Well, that's not a big problem, us rebounding the basketball. We had a stretch where the game was tied up at 23 up. They came down and got a foul and made the basket, and we got a technical foul, and that's how the lead is where it's right now. So we just got to do a better job and be smarter.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck. Back to you, Kurt.
Thanks, Ashley. Marshall closes the quarter on a 10-2 run and has a 33-25 lead at the half. Back with the third quarter after these network messages. Third quarter of action, Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game with Marshall leading two-time defending state champions Simeon 33-25. Kurt Pegler and former Proviso East head coach Bill Hitt with you. You know how difficult it is, Bill, to get to state 3 separate times. Simeon trying to win its third consecutive state championship. At some point, does kind of that weight of carrying a couple of state championships just get on you at this point in the second half of the state championship game and your third trip down?
Well, you know, I got down 3 times in a row, but I never got to the finals that third time. But I would say yes. You know, I see Simeon playing just a little more tentatively than I've seen them play in the past. They're not far away, don't get me wrong. And I think what everyone said during the halftime break and what Coach Smith said coming out, they need to do a better job on the defensive boards. They gave up 10 offensive rebounds.
And Simeon starts this second half with the basketball. Keon Smith, Josh Anderson, Brandon Orange, Stanley Simpson, Pierre Sneed on the floor right now for Simeon. And there's going to be a foul, and it's going to be back to the free throw line for Stanley Simpson.
They just were very patient, taking the ball inside. Simpson was very smart, kicking it out again. Help side comes too slow, just goes up strong. Needs to finish that one, though.
The Commandos also send out their original starting 5 of our Darius Simmons, Ryan Hare, Eric Harris, Darius Smith, and Dorian Tyler. So each team opens the third quarter with the same starting 5 with which they open the game. But now, immediately, we see a substitution as Tavares Davis is coming in and Dorian Tyler's going out for Marshall. 33-27, Marshall the lead. The first ever state championship game played between 2 Chicago Public League schools. Simeon, the defending 2-time state champs. In fact, the last 2 years, they've eliminated Marshall or beaten them in the semifinals and knocked Marshall into the third place game, and the Commandos have taken home third place trophies. They're trying to change that today, and that's Tavares Davis.
Tavares Davis can bring some offense to him. On that possession, it was very interesting. Joshua Anderson from Simeon literally face guarded Darius Smith wherever he went. So a little bit of a different wrinkle. Try to take him out of the game.
Here's Simpson, short turnarounds off the glass and in. So make no bones about it. The scouting report says go inside, and why not? When you've got an all-stater like that on the low block, go to him. Here's Davis again, penetrating, trying to score with the left hand, can't get it. Hare had it momentarily. It was knocked out of his hands, and there's going to be a foul against the Wolverines.
Tavares Davis going strong to the basket. Kind of a wild shot. Hare with the rebound, and looks like Simpson came down on his arm. That's his third foul. It'd be interesting to see how long Robert Smith keeps him in, if he tries to hide him a little bit. Simeon going to a zone so they can protect him a little bit. What they did to start the third quarter is they literally face guarded Darius Smith away from the basket. They're doing it again. That puts a little bit more pressure on Smith. He's got a hard matchup with Tavares Davis in the corner.
Here's Ryan Hare. He's working one-on-one now with Lazarick Jones. Tries to break him down from the left. He attacks from the left and scores.
Coach Smith calling, make him go right, make him go right. It's easier said than done.
Marshall coaching staff said, we don't believe anybody can guard us man-on-man in the state, and so forcing Simeon to get out of that zone and play him man and try to break down and exploit those one-on-one matchups. Brandon Orange up high to get that offensive rebound.
Real interesting defensive looks. Marshall face guarding the two guards, leaving Simpson alone on one-on-one down there.
Scores with the left hand. Simpson now with 17 points. And here we go again with the one-on-one, huh?
Right.
Here this time from the right side, draws contact and a foul.
You see Ryan Hare go down. Defender's not set. Call the foul on the ground. What they're doing, Ryan Hare early in the first half was attacking the inside. They've moved him out to the wing. He's very versatile. He can play out there on the top. They're looking to isolate him a little bit and draw up so that he can take the ball to the basket.
Well, right now, the Commandos are controlling the tempo of this game the way they want it to be played. Here one-on-one again. And nearly a three-point opportunity, but the pump fake works, get the defender in the air and draw contact.
So Lazarick Jones' his fourth foul. He's a big key to them offensively and defensively.
Well, this is exactly how the Commandos are drawing up the scouting report in the game plan, right? I mean,
well,
to
spreading the court,
yeah.
Absolutely. Spreading the court. You spread the court, you take Simpson out of the middle.
Try to take him out and try to pile up the fouls on the other players, and so Lazarick Jones has to go to the bench.
He brings to their team that explosiveness. We've seen him this weekend have 5 or 6 really huge drives to the basket.
6-point Marshall lead.
If you're going to spread the court, though, you got to make free throws.
That's true. Orange looking inside, but they stay outside. It's Anderson with the ball, and they'll hand it now back to Brandon Orange. There's Simpson, got a touch of it again. The ball is knocked out of his hands by Eric Harris. And we've got a timeout on the floor. Marshall with a 6-point lead. 4:30 to go here. Third quarter, Class 3A state championship game. Back after these messages and a word from your local stations. This afternoon's championship game trivia brought to you by the National Association of Realtors. Looking for a professional realtor? Go to Realtors.com. If Marshall wins today's Class 3A championship, it will become only the second school in IHSA history to win a girls and boys state basketball title in the same year. What other school did this? And the hint? The answer is in a shoe. Ah, yeah, that's a good hint. Maybe a wooden shoe.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get it till the hint.
Have that answer for you in just a moment. Dorothy Gators won a girls state basketball championship at Redbird Arena a couple of weeks ago, and now the boys, with her assistant coach, Courtney Hargraves, running the Commandos boys program, trying to follow up with a championship of their own. Here's Smith. Looking down low to Simpson, trying to go inside to Simpson, but the ball is stolen away. Good defense that time by Eric Harris.
Little triangle in two. We'll see how long you can play that. Usually those kind of gimmick defenses don't last as long as you need them to.
Davis misses the three, and now Smith will walk the ball up the floor for the Wolverines, who are down 6 under 4 minutes to go here. Third quarter, Class 3A boys basketball state championship game. Smith down the lane, flipped it up, can't get it. Followed by Simpson. He can't get it. He goes back to get it, and he's fouled. And Brandon Orange was a part of that mix, too, as he kept that offensive rebound alive.
They just kept going after the ball, drive to the basket, could have been a block, almost a tip dunk, and then Tavares Davis comes over his back to foul him.
Out of the game goes Davis now for Marshall. Into the game comes Jaron Lee, and here's Simpson, and he may have traveled. He did. How about the answer to our trivia question? If Marshall wins today's Class 3A championship, it will become only the second school in IHSA history to win a girls and boys state title in the same year. What other school did it? We gave you the hint. How about the Wooden Shoes of Teutopolis back in 1986? Here's our Darius Simmons, and now back out now to Lee. He's guarded by Jeremy Jones, one-on-one. Now here's Hare. He's had the ball in his hands almost this entire third period. Pull-up jumper from the foul line is missed. The ball's on the floor and stolen away, and Marshall gets it back. Lee had it momentarily, and there's going to be a foul on contact there as Eric Harris was hacked as he tried to score inside.
Just a lot of loose balls. Marshall's quicker to them right now than Simeon is. Nice pass underneath, wasn't ready to receive it. Just aggressively going to the basketball.
So Eric Harris, spells his first name Eric is E-R-I-Q, to the line. And we mentioned his importance off the top of the broadcast for Courtney Hargrave's team. 10 points and 9 rebounds in the win yesterday against Washington in the state semifinal. He's kind of on a roll against North Chicago in the Super Sectional Tuesday night, 13 points and 19 rebounds.
You know, he's really one of those guys that's very hard to get a body on to box him out. He's a good jumper, he's 6'6", and he's very quick. He's got his hands full right now. He's got a lot of responsibility on Stan Simpson.
Brandon Orange for 3, that's down. He hit a big three-pointer at the buzzer of the third quarter against TF North to give Simeon the lead, which they never gave up on Tuesday night, and that was a big three-pointer here in this third quarter of the state championship game. Great feed, Ryan Hare. He slipped the ball to Harris, who laid it in.
Again, they attack that little press by Simeon, take the ball to the basket.
Now Smith and Orange. Orange gonna try another 3. Couldn't get it, but it's tipped right back out to him. And in the paint, his short shot is missed. Simpson had it in his hands. The ball's still free. Simpson again.
What a great effort by the big man.
Now quickly at the floor, it's Simmons. They try to trap him. In the corner, it's Lee. He's going to try a 3 from the corner. That's missed. Ball's out of bounds, and it's going to go to Simeon.
Probably not the kind of shot you want in transition, although he's a good shooter. Just sometimes you got to say no.
Under 2 minutes to go here, third quarter.
You can feel the momentum change just a little bit, can't you, Kurt?
I think you're right. I think you're right there. Everything was being dictated by the Commandos. Now the Wolverines have a little bounce in their step. Smith's 3 is missed, but an offensive rebound by Joshua Anderson keeps the possession alive. Pass inside to Simpson is picked off by Harris. Simmons crosses the floor. He's the Chicago State recruit. That's him with the ball all the way down. He was stripped from behind. The ball is loose, but Lee goes and corrals it. And now Hare has it as we approach the 1 minute mark left here in this third quarter. Harris on the left side. Puts up the shot and scores again.
You know, you can see the confidence just coming back to him. Again, he struggled early in the first quarter. Since he's moved to the perimeter, he's much more himself. finish that shot over Simpson.
And a dozen points now for Ryan Hare, who's letting the game come to him, it looks like. He's the one that's kind of in control, not trying to force anything. 6-point advantage now for the Commandos. Smith trying to break down the dribble, slips the pass down low, and again it's Simpson who comes to the basket and scores. The All-Stater with a 21-point effort. Now it's Hare down the lane. He can't get it, but the follow is good by Lee, and he's fouled.
Marshall is relentless going to the offensive boards. See it coming down there, splits the defenders, goes up strong, misses the shot. Jerron Lee just finishes. Contact, foul.
Now he's considered the silent assassin. They say he's a good finisher, and we're seeing him finish that play there. He had a 20-point game against Aurora Central Catholic in the sectionals.
Marshall's got to be better from the free throw line, though, if they're going to finish this game.
Final 15 seconds here of this third quarter. Here's Smith. Is he going to take the shot? It's going to be Anderson instead. His three is missed, and it's off the top of the backboard, still in play. Simpson came down with it at the horn, and he's fouled. And it looks like he's going to get some free throws here. See how they sort this out.
I think the officials might have missed that one. Looked like it hit the clock up above.
And that's what Ryan Hare is asking as he walks back to his bench. But instead, it's going to be Stanley Simpson to the free throw line. Nobody on the line with him.
Well, the foul definitely came before the buzzer went off.
No time left on the clock here, just these free throws to win the third quarter. Simpson makes good on him, and we're done with three. Marshall 44, Simeon 40. 8 minutes left in the Class 3A State Basketball Championship. Back with more from Peoria after these local messages. 44-40, Marshall has the lead. Let's take a look at that last sequence here. This is the shot which appears to hit the shot clock, which is out of bounds, Bill.
Yeah, it did. It's one of those things, if you're an official and you don't have a good angle, or maybe you just look away for 1 second and you miss it, and you know, they're human. I used to tell my players, I didn't coach a perfect game. You didn't play a perfect game. The officials aren't going to always officiate a perfect game.
And Simeon benefits from that as Simpson makes the 2 free throws after he was fouled on the offensive rebound. So the Commandos will start the fourth quarter with a basketball and a 44-40 advantage. 8 minutes to go in this Class 3A Boys Basketball State Championship game, the first ever between 2 Chicago Public League teams. Simmons from the corner is good. His 3-ball on the baseline.
That was a nicely executed play. A high screen, Hare came off, drew the defenders, and then kicked it to the wing.
46-40, the Marshall lead, and now a foul at the timeline. And that's going to go against Marshall. Let's take a look at those stats through 3 quarters, brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
I think one of the big things that jumps out right now to me are the rebounds. Simeon was out-rebounded pretty significantly in the first half. They're up there now with the rebounding. And of course, Simpson with 21 points. That's, that's what we thought, though.
Smith and Hare leading the way for Marshall, 12 points apiece. This one is shaping up to be a fantastic finish. Don't go anyplace, folks. We've had 3 terrific games prior to this one in this Final Four weekend. Why not have a 4th in the Class 3A? Simpson on the baseline, and again, contact.
You know, it's hard not to, but when you allow penetration to the middle against them, they're just good enough ball handlers they can find the big guy.
Working our sidelines today is Lee Hall. What you have, Lee?
Bill, you were talking about rebounding, and it's been interesting for me to sit here by the Simeon bench. Robert Smith has turned to his team several times in the last few minutes and said, we're a rebound away from winning. We're a rebound away from winning. And that, I think we saw that in the waning moments there of the third quarter when they were able to control the boards on either end. They got it down to 4 points, and that's something that is a real emphasis now for the Wolverines. Back to you.
Simpson's made free throw. He has now scored 14 of his team's last 16 points. It's a 5-point lead. And a steal in the backcourt by Simeon, turning up the pressure. Now the Wolverines will try to cash in with points off turnover. Here's Brandon Orange in the corner. The lob into Simpson. And we've got a foul. And again, it's going to go against Marshall. This time Ryan here, who drew a couple of charges, looks like he might be guilty of it.
Now, they called that on Stamps. Stamps just got his body down real low, trying to move him out, and then turned around and reached in. You know, the rule, if Stamps hadn't have fouled him and he turned around with the ball and made contact on Hare, it would have been an offensive foul. If you have the ball, you don't get a step. If you don't have the ball, the defender, if he's going to screen or something, has got to give you a natural step to turn around.
The inbounds goes to Simpson. Nice pass down to Keon Smith, who laid it in. It's a 3-point game. Ryan Hare had the ball stripped momentarily, but he goes back and gets it. The ball is loose again. Relentless pressure put on by Simeon. Now it's Harris, and he's fouled.
That's a great find by Darius Smith to see him underneath the basket. He had Hare flash into the free throw line. I thought he was going to dump it there. Found him all the way underneath the basket.
So Brandon Orange picks up his foul in the game. That's his third. And his counterpart wearing number 25, Eric Harris, to the free throw line.
Free throws have been the Achilles heel for Marshall so far.
And now with 4 fouls, Lazarick Jones re-enters the game for Simeon. Harris's second free throw is good. 4-point lead for Marshall. And now full court pressure is broken. Down the floor. Simeon comes down there. We're looking for a lob, anticipating a lob, but it just didn't work. Smart play by Simpson to go and get it and reload the offense at the top of the circle here. Smith. Orange on the baseline. Blocked. Foul.
Ball gets kicked down to the baseline and he comes just hard down the baseline. It's a good call. Dorian Tyler goes up to try to block the shot, gets an arm. Brandon Orange is very versatile. I like that the way he plays a lot. He can hit the three, but his main game is getting to the basket.
He does a lot of the little things, like you say. There's so much attention put on Stanley Simpson that Orange plays inside, he plays outside. You know, he has a game against Chicago Leo, for example, in the sectional title game where he had 17 points and 8 rebounds and probably goes unnoticed.
Right.
But he can't get the free throws to go down.
That's what has made Simeon so good. Their players are unselfish. They're team players.
Follow up and in. Darius Smith.
We haven't said his name much in the second half, but that was a huge rebound basket.
It was Devaris Davis with the penetration, but it was Smith with the rebound basket. Outside jumper won't go for Anderson. Now the Commandos have numbers if they want them. 3-on-0. Oh, and it blocked. How about the defense coming back?
I think Darius Smith held that ball just one beat too long. Should have given up soon. He had 2 targets, and I don't think he could make up his mind where it was going to go.
Keon Smith just
a
elevates
great play.
And saves a basket. We've got a timeout on the floor here. 49-43 our score. Back with more from Carver Arena after this local break. Time now for our Walgreens Picture Perfect. Walgreens is a proud sponsor of these IHSA telecasts and the IHSA Do What's Right sportsmanship program. Fans young and old enjoying March Madness, America's original March Madness, here at the Peoria Civic Center this weekend. Thanks to Walgreens for their continued partnership with the IHSA. 5:50 to go here, fourth quarter. Class 3A boys basketball state championship game. Marshall the lead and the basketball.
Marshall going to spread the court. Nope, not yet.
And now a turnover. A near travel that time by Davis, but then it wound up being a turnover anyway. Penetration and a steal that time. Eric Harris comes away with it. Here come the Commandos back up the floor. Davis, kick out. It's Hare now. At what point might we see that long four-corner offense?
Personally, I don't think it'll be too long coming.
Davis is in the corner, lost the dribble, haircuts, gets the ball, and a three-point opportunity.
What a great drive to the basket. Great pass from Davis. And look how strong he finishes. Simpson goes up. Just go. That's just an athletic, big-time move.
And now Stanley Simpson has picked up his fourth foul.
You know, I think Marshall has changed their defenses just enough to keep Simeon out of ever getting into a sink offensively.
15 points now for Ryan Hare. He averages about 18 a game. He's given his team a 52-43 advantage.
Simeon can score 9 points in about 27 seconds, and Marshall knows that.
Officials timeout. Marshall's ahead 52-43, but 4:55 to play. Back with more on the IHSA Television Network. Now for our Chevrolet Drive of the Game, brought to you by Chevrolet. See what's new by going to ChevyDrivesChicago.com. It's a nice look-off pass. Stanley Simpson with a finish. He's got 24 points, but his team is down 52-43. Marshall trying to dethrone the two-time defending state champions in the state of Illinois. We got a whistle and a foul, and it looks like it's going against Simeon. That's against Lazarick Jones. He's done.
Another offensive foul drawn by Hare. Just a little bit out of control, bringing that ball so hard in the lane.
And the senior guard who scored 14 points yesterday and was a key player against Champaign Central and getting the Wolverines to this championship game is now disqualified with 5 fouls.
You know, he was a catalyst in their victory against TF North in the super sectional. Came off the bench. It really sparked them defensively. Made a couple of big offensive plays, but it's more what he did on the defensive end. They're going to miss him down the stretch.
Hare bringing the ball up the floor. He's guarded by Brandon Orange, working on Orange from the left side and trying to score with the left hand. Had his own rebound, but lost it momentarily, and now it's going to go back to the Wolverines. Another near steal. Quick hands by the Commandos. Keon Smith going one-on-one with Tavares Davis. Lost the ball out of bounds, though.
All right, so you asked me earlier. I think now that we may see Marshall spread the floor. The problem is Simeon's very quick. It's not as easy to attack them as it is some teams with a little less foot speed.
Hare double teamed in the corner. And did he travel? Yes, he did.
Well, we won't see on that possession.
Marshall turned the basketball right back over, and that's what both of these teams can do so well. They pressure you and get you out of your rhythm.
There is no give up in either. This is going to go down to the buzzer.
Bringing the ball up the floor has become a chore. Simpson off the inbounds. That's real easy for him. 26 points for Stanley Simpson in his final high school basketball game wearing a Simeon uniform. Darius Smith down the lane, finger roll, can't get it. Davis was blocked. Here comes Simeon back down the floor. Seven-point Marshall lead as we approach 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this Class 3A boys basketball state championship game. Simpson over Ryan Hare, missed the shot, foul couldn't go. Orange had it, but he couldn't finish. Now it's Davis on the other end for Marshall.
That's obviously a big turnaround.
4-point swing that time. Instead of getting 2 on the Simeon end of the scoreboard, it's 2 more for Marshall. 3 ball is missed, and it's corralled by Davis. He's doing it on both ends now. Up to Eric Harris, who's fouled. He's fouled by Jeremy Jones, who just missed the 3.
Long rebound, got the ball up ahead to Eric and just tripped inadvertently on the Simeon player going to the line. By my count, they're 7 for 15 from the free throw line, so this is not an automatic. And now if you're Marshall, you obviously have to be playing Simeon and the clock. You got to be just really smart with the decisions you make with the ball. Simeon still has 2 timeouts, plenty of time to get back in the game.
Got to cash in at the foul line, though, if you're going to be there in the final 3 minutes, and that's going to be the case. Exactly 3 to go here. A 9-point Marshall lead. Simpson over here, off the glass, missed it. Got his own rebound, sticks it back in. Stanley Simpson with a 28-point scoring outburst here. 28 of his team's 47. Now back up the floor. Smith can't get it to go. Eric Harris the follow.
You know, I know what he's doing. He's challenging Simpson to get his 5th foul. I'm just not sure that in this time situation you want to do that.
It's the age-old question. At what point do you start playing against the clock as opposed to against your opponent?
I think you do right now.
Anderson across the timeline. He's the son of the former Fighting Illini star Nick Anderson. That's him with the basketball now. He's working on Simmons. Hangs, fires, and couldn't get it to go. Nearly a 3-point opportunity.
Sometimes I look, Kurt, and I say, how did that not go in?
Yeah.
It hit everything a couple times. Nice step down. You see that ball just go around and around and out.
Now Joshua Anderson, a senior guard, 6 foot 175, as we mentioned. His father, Nick, is a former star at Simeon. Now we're seeing some substitutions here as Simpson's going to come out of the game again. He's playing with 4 fouls. He's going to come to the bench.
See a little offensive, defensive substitution late in the game here. In the second half, Simeon really hasn't had a matchup answer for Ryan here. He's hurt them off the dribble a lot. It's disrupted them defensively more than I thought it might.
And a steal off the inbounds. And it's going to be a jam by Orange. And now quickly inbounded and up the floor. Davis. He spins. He gives it Darius Harris. 3-point play opportunity, Darius Smith.
You have to be impressed with how quickly Marshall gets the ball up the court after, something really bad happened and up they go. You see here Ryan here trying to draw a charge. Nice dish off for a dunk. And then up the court they go, finish on the other end. DeVars Davis made a nice decision on that to give that ball up.
And Smith now trying to complete the 3-point play with 2 minutes left in this one. What a key basket that was. Take the ball out of your own basket, throw it down the floor. And he makes good on it.
Before the ball game, we talked about Ali and Frazier, and we're seeing it. We've got the champs a little bit on the ropes, but he's not down yet.
Nope. A corner 3 is good by Jeremy Jones. Anderson penetrated and flipped it to the corner. And Jones knocked down the big 3. And it's a 5-point game.
As the kids would say, that was cold. They needed that. Nice timeout afterwards. Both teams with 1 left. They got Simpson out of the game for this defensive possession right now so that they don't have to worry about him picking up a 5th foul at the wrong time. And now it's a matter of execution both ways.
Here's our key player comparison. We were saying at the beginning of the game we'll monitor Keon Smith and Eric Harris and their contributions here today. 12-point scoring effort for Harris, a 6-point scoring effort for Keon Smith, and he's not going to pour up a lot of points, Keon Smith, when he is a driver, a penetrator, a defender, and when you're playing with Stanley Simpson and the ball's going to go into him, you're not going to wind up having a glossy amount of scoring numbers.
Keon is the type of player that does just about everything you want him to do. If his role was to score more, he would do that. But on this team, with the offensive weapons they have, he's really like their fourth option. But what he does defensively is, to me, as a coach, phenomenal. He's done a great job, not just in this game, but in this tournament.
1:47 to go here. Marshall 59, Simeon 54. The first ever state championship game between Chicago Public League foes. Congratulations to the Wakanda Pep Band, who made it to state and have been entertaining the fans here at Carver Arena with the between games music as well. Full court pressure showed by the Wolverines. Inbounds goes to Davis. All the way down, scooped it up, couldn't get it. Hare the follow, the ball is loose, and Hare traveled. And so Simpson is going to come back in. He checks in at the scorer's table. He'll re-enter for Simeon. And Deshaun Greer will go back to the bench.
I know it's an attack mode, but sometimes you just gotta say no to yourself.
Another three that time from Jeremy Jones won't go, and there's going to be a foul on the outlet that time. Again in the attack mode, Davis is guilty of the foul. Davis of Marshall.
That's a good call. The ball was up in the air. The Simeon player had a better angle for it.
Davis's fourth foul, 9th team foul now against Marshall, so one more foul will put Simeon in the double bonus.
Both teams with a timeout. Simeon with the possession arrow.
Joshua Anderson right back to the free throw line for Simeon. Crunch time, big time free throws on the way. One down, the second one on the way. That one's good as well. It's a 3-point game. Quickly up the floor, Ardarius Simmons. He's trapped, but he gets it off to Ryan Hare, who's fouled. He's fouled by Brandon Orange. And that's the 10th foul against Simeon, so we've got double bonus opportunities and free throw time again.
You know, I don't want to oversimplify, but if you're going to be a state champion, if you truly are, then you got to make free throws. In a game like this, you're playing, you know, these are two of the best teams in the state, and in any level, you got to make free throws.
Hare made a living at the free throw line yesterday in the state semifinal, and now counted on to make some clutch foul shots here in the state championship game. Well, we've been told he's the complete player by the coaching staff, and he's showing it today. He's taken charges, he's handled the basketball well, and he's made his foul shots here at the end. 61-56 now. 5-point lead for Marshall. Simeon with the basketball. Here's Smith behind a screen from Simpson. His pull-up jumper is no good. Long rebound control by Jeremy Jones. Here's Orange inside to Simpson, and a steal. Davis stole it and just threw it all the way down the floor. Keon Smith has to go and get it. We're under a minute to go now in this championship game, and Ryan Hare is guilty of the foul. And that's the 10th foul against the Commandos, so double bonus opportunity now for Simeon.
Well, I think everybody in the gym knows you don't want to do that. But part of that was a nice play by Keon Smith, getting him, his body kept changing directions. Ryan Hare probably should have just given up, tried to get ahead of the ball and set up a defense.
Smith's first free throw rattles in. No, we weren't kidding when we thought this game would go down to the final possession. It very well may be headed that way with 52 seconds to go.
Might be a final possession and then some.
We saw Zion Benton win at the buzzer in the semifinals in the 4A tournament last night. Both free throws are good. Clutch foul shots for the Illinois State University recruit. And now the inbounds. Here comes Marshall up the floor. That's Darius Smith. He's going to hang on to it. No, he gives it up to Simmons. 45 seconds and counting. Simmons is fouled by Smith.
Probably not a bad foul. I don't think our Darius Smith's been to the free throw line yet. You got a timeout left. You need a little bit of time.
How about the compliment that Courtney Hargraves gave us regarding our Darius Smith? Said he reminds him of Chris Paul.
Not bad company.
Yeah, he plays like Chris Paul of the NBA's New Orleans Hornets. 62-58 after the made free throw. His first of the game. He's headed to Chicago State to play his college basketball. Just a little 5'9" general on the floor for you. Second free throw is good as well. 63-58. A 5-point spread again. Here's Smith down the line. And he penetrates and scores again. He flipped it up and in. And quickly, Robert Smith calls timeout.
Well, we talked about Keon Smith doing what he needs to do. That's a perfect example. I don't think he's taken the ball to the basket hard today at all. It just wasn't part of the game plan. They needed it then. Gets a great left-hand drive to the basket.
Let's take another look at that driving basket here by Smith. Up and under move. Flip it up with the left hand and score off the glass. Now tell us what's going on in these huddles here, Bill. We got 35.4 seconds to go. Marshall has the lead, a 3-point lead, and they're going to have the basketball on the inbounds.
Well, Simeon is going to try to get them to inbound the ball in one of the corners so that they can trap it. If I'm Marshall, that's the last thing I'm going to want to do. I'm going to tell my kids, you got a timeout left. Take the timeout before you take the turnover. Do not turn the ball over, take the timeout. They're going to come down and spread the court, hope that Simeon will foul them, and then they're going to have to make free throws.
Now the 1958 Marshall Commandos won Chicago's first ever state championship. And on the 50th anniversary of that first ever city team to win the state title, they're trying to win another one, but there's some work to be done here with 35 seconds to go.
Three's the number. You know, Simeon's going for a three-peat, and Marshall's trying to be one of those teams to move up and be a school that has won 3 state championships.
Darius Smith to trigger. He can run the baseline. He gets it into Hare, who's fouled. Boy, a near steal that time off the inbounds again.
Well, you know, Marshall again set up a play. They did not want the ball to come into the corner. That's just sudden death against the Simeon trap.
That was Paul McGee of Simeon with the near steal. He is the one who just entered the game and charged with that foul. And back to the free throw line, Ryan Hare. Well, if you're going to be an all-state performer, this is crunch time. You got to perform at the foul line. We saw Verdell Jones do this very thing in the third place game for Champaign Central, make his foul shots in the final seconds.
Well, in that third quarter stretch, they were so awful at the free throw line. I think now they've made about 6. This might be 6 in a row.
Cool and calm, he knocked them both down.
Don't foul if you're Marshall.
Smith again, can't get it to go. Tip won't go. Ball's on the floor and a foul. And Marshall's are Darius Simmons coming up with it. 5'9", getting the rebound over Stanley Simpson, who may have just picked up his 5th foul. And the Commandos faithful on their feet in the southwest corner of the building. They're sensing a state championship here.
You know, that was a great effort from Simpson, 28 points, a ton of rebounds, and a defensive pressure and presence in the paint.
What a performance by that young man who will play his collegiate basketball at the University of Illinois next year. And our Darius Simmons back to the free throw line where he just made a couple of critical foul shots. Simmons' first one wouldn't go. Second one on the way. That is in. 2-possession game now, 66-60. quickly up the floor. Smith all the way down, fouled by Ryan Hare. Hard fouls. Smith is still on the floor.
It's hard sometimes to watch and wonder, you know. They're 17 or 18, what thoughts go through their mind? The last thing you want to do is stop the clock. And again, I don't think he intentionally tripped him. Give him a little space.
Well, Smith has been very good at the free throw line. He's hit all 4 of his free throws. Here tonight, he had an 8 of 8 free throw performance against TF North in the Super Sectional Tuesday. So this is the guy that the Wolverines want at the free throw line. Somehow the numbers didn't pan out on that free throw. Anderson's going to leave the game, and re-entering is Paul McGee for Simeon. Second free throw now attempt for Kenyon Smith. Keon Smith, the 6-foot senior guard. He's headed to Illinois State. That one is good. Hare is going to trigger on the inbounds. Gets it into Simmons. In the corner, he's fouled by McGee, who just entered.
Well, we've seen the 2 heavyweights, and the margin of difference between these 2 teams is, you know, they probably could play 10 games, and they would end up in this kind of a score, in this kind of a closeness with, you know, who knows who would win more games out of 10, I don't know.
It could be a 5-all after 10. These 2 teams just absolutely going at it. And as we mentioned, on the way to winning back-to-back state championships here at Carver Arena the last 2 years, Simeon has beaten Marshall in the state semifinals.
Right. And that plays into it. You know, Marshall's got that little edge, and, you know, when you're the champ, you got to just play a little bit differently. You don't mean to, but you do.
And now a steal in the backcourt by Simmons, who just made 2 free throws, and he's going to go back to the foul line again with a chance to increase a 7-point advantage. And the Commandos are smelling it now.
You know, I think if I was going to pick a single thing, I think the play of Ryan Hare in the second half, when they moved him, the first half he was down in the post. He was having a hard time getting his shot off with Simpson. They moved him out to the perimeter and let him take his man off the dribble. I think that really opened things up for Marshall.
Still got to take care of business at the free throw line. Simmons' second attempt is in. It's an 8-point lead now with 15.9 seconds to go. And a steal. How do you like that? That's Darius Smith stepping in. And the Marshall Commandos are ticking the clock off to a state championship. After consecutive years finishing 3rd, this year the state champion is Marshall. The Marshall Commandos, who the last 2 years watched as Simeon celebrated not only a state championship, but celebrated victories in the semifinals over the Commandos. But for the first time since 1960, Marshall is going to be the state champion.
You know, I'm almost a little speechless. It was a great high school basketball game. We saw individual brilliance. We saw a collective effort from both teams. Neither team would give in.
Marshall now becomes the 7th team in IHSA history to win 3 state titles. 1958, 1960, and now 2008 state champs. And how about Dorothy Gators down there applauding? Marshall has a state basketball championship in girls and boys hoops this year. What a year.
It doesn't happen often. It's happened once before. Well, the Chicago Public League has to be extremely proud of both of these teams. Just exceptional talent, exceptional coaching.
And Ashley Robinson has the winning head coach, Courtney Hargraves.
Thanks, Kurt. Coach, you were here in 91 as a player, didn't get it. Here a couple of weeks ago, got as an assistant coach. How's it feel to win it as a head coach?
It's wonderful. And I'm just so proud of these kids, man. They worked hard. We've been through a lot. Still just stuck together.
I saw you hug Dorothy Gators a few minutes ago. How good does it feel to win them together?
It's great. That's like my mom, my second mom, so I'm feeling real good.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck. Go celebrate. And our Country Insurance Financial Services Player of the Game, Ryan Hare, you had 19 points. 2 years ago, you were here 1/3. 1 year ago, you won third. How's it feel to finally get that big one?
I feel like crying right now. I feel good. I've been waiting on this ever since I've been in high school, and I finally got it.
You sure did. Go ahead and go celebrate with your team. Back to you, Kurt.
What a performance by Ryan Hare and his Marshall Commandos. Ryan Hare, Ardarius Simmons, and Davaris Davis were suspended for sectional semifinal games for violating team rules. But now they're state champions. And back with more of the celebration from Peoria's Carver Arena after this network break.
This IHSA broadcast is presented by
our championship game stats update brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. The Marshall Commandos, a 69-61 winner over Chicago Simeon in the first ever state championship game pitting Chicago Public League foes against one another, and what a great basketball game it was.
It absolutely was, and we're looking at the statistics here. They're as close as the final score. I think probably the biggest thing that jumps out at me right now is the turnover. Simeon is usually much better with the ball. I think 17 turnovers is a tribute to the pressure Marshall put on him.
Stanley Simpson in his final game in the high school level, 26 points. Marshall led by Ryan Hare's 19, our Country Insurance and Financial Services Player of the Game. Terrific high school basketball game. And now we've got some highlights to show you. Our final look at the highlights here.
That's a just great drop step pass into Ryan Hare, drawing the foul. And now a three-pointer. Simeon struggled a little bit. Now we watch Davaris Davis go strong.
Those highlights brought to you by Honda, featuring the all-new 268 horsepower Accord V6. The teams are taking their places on the floor. Let's listen in to the medal ceremony. Here's our public address announcer, Paul Herzog.
At this time, please meet the Wolverines of Simeon, who finished 2008 a record of 29-4. Second place, 2008 for 3A. Accepting on behalf of Public Schools CEO Arnie Duncan is Director of Sports Administration Calvin Davis. Principal for Simeon, Tamara Sterling. Athletic Director, Marquis Riley. Head Coach, Robert Smith. Assistant Coach, Andre Hamlin. Assistant Coach, Leonard Thomas. Assistant Coach, Jeff Duncan. And Assistant Coach, Fred McClinton. Now the Wolverine players, number 10, Keon Smith. '11, Marcus Davis. 12, Lazarick Jones. 14, Paul McGee. 22, Joshua Anderson. 24, Jeremy Jones. 25, Brandon Orange. $30, Crystal Jackson. $32, Stanley Simpson. $33, Robert Robinson. $34, Pierre Sneed. $44, Isaiah Linton. $50, Darrell Stevenson. $52, Stephen Walker. And $54, Deshaun Greer. Congratulations, Wolverines, second place, 2008. Now, please meet the Commandos of Marshall, who finished first place, 31-4, 2008 3A champions. Accepting on behalf of Chicago Public League CEO Arnie Duncan is board president Rufus Williams. Principal Juan Gardner. Athletic Director Dorothy Gators. Head coach Courtney Hargraves. Assistant coach Henry Cotton. Assistant coach Sean Harrington. Assistant coach Danny T. Little. Assistant coach Tyrone Hayes. Manager Jasmine Clay. Manager Shatan Williams. And now the commando players. 3, Ardarius Simmons. 5, Irvin Thomas. 10, Sam Thornton. 15, Deveris Davis. 21, Vincent Garrett. 24, Ryan Hare. 25, Eric Harris. 31, Darius Smith. 32, Montrese McKnight. 33, Darren Harris. 34, Dion Stamps. 40, Jerron Lee. 45, Dorian Tyler. Congratulations, Marshall Commandos 3A champions 2008. And now we'll Coach Smith and the captains of Simeon step forward and receive the second place trophy. Congratulations to Chicago Simeon. And now, Coach Hargraves and the captains of Marshall, please step forward and receive the 3A 2008 Boys First Place Trophy. Congratulations to both schools on great seasons and great effort here in Peoria. Thank you for being here at March Madness, home of America's original March Madness, IHSA boys basketball. Thank you for being here. Whoever driving next, please drive safely.
Marshall is your state champion. How about some final thoughts here, Bill?
Well, I think for a very first 3A championship, you couldn't have had a better tournament. 4 quality